Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to today's class, and I'm just going to give us like a brief of what's been happening within the past 2 days before today, right? So we have been going on a journey on how to design a fintech product from scratch, right? We have been taking ourselves through on what to do before you actually start designing a product, right? And in the first day, which was day before yesterday, we were able to understand a project, like understand a project, which is understanding a project brief, right? What are the first things you need to do when you get a client's brief? You were able to explain what the project is all about, define the problem, write a problem statement, then define the users of that problem, and do a competitor analysis, right? So that's what we did on the first day. On the second day, we did conducting user research. So here I explained what user research was, the importance, the different types, how to conduct a good user research, different research methods, how to write good research questions, and rules when you are actually doing like a physical interview. So that was day two. Now we are in day three, and we are going to be talking about turning research into user insights. So as at yesterday, we gave I gave an assignment or a task that I told every one of us to you know go create a Google form, write 5 research questions, and send it to people who fall in the category of the users that um, you are you are designing for, and your own users are the students and young professionals. So I said create a Google form, create the questions, and send it to those people, let them fill the form, and submit your task, right? And today I'm going to be telling you, assuming you have done that assignment or that task, right, this is how you can now analyze responses. So I'm going to tell you, okay, when you actually get a response, maybe you sent a Google form, for instance, and you want to get a response, or you want to analyze that response you have gotten, how do you do it? And I will be teaching us the practical, not just theoretical. You get, I'll be showing us how it's actually done. And then what else? Today we're also going to be creating a user persona. I'll tell you what a user persona is, and we're creating that. And then last thing we're going to be doing today is building an empathy map. So we're not doing much today, but we are going to be doing something much more serious. Do you get? So um, let's go ahead. So let's start with analyzing research responses. So now we are going with the idea. Um, we are going with the idea that you have actually created your Google form, right? You have sent it to people, those 5 people I told us to send it to, and now we have a response from them, right? That's the idea or mindset we are going with. Now, this is what I created, and I got 3 responses from that, right? So the questions I generated were based off on yesterday's class. I also taught us how we can generate questions. If you are confused, like how am I going to even generate these questions? I know, okay, this is what I'm designing for, but how do I ask my users? What am I asking them? That was taught in yesterday's class. You get, so you can always go through the video and it will definitely help you out. Then today I'm going to be telling us from these questions we have generated yesterday, right? And different questions, from the responses, how do we analyze it properly? Do you get? That's what I'm going to be taking us through. So if you want to analyze a response properly, this is what I will do, and this is what I feel like will help you out as well. So you can come to this Google form, you can see responses here, right? You go to the responses tab. Now can you see all this? What type of business do you do? So give me a second. Okay. mm, Trying to do something. Okay. Okay, so I think I've gotten what I want to get. Okay, so now responses, right? How do you analyze these responses? How do you analyze? Now, if you go to the responses tab, can you see that for each of the questions there is like a, what's it called? A chart or like a graph for it. Do you get? There's a chart for it. You can see this one, you can see this one. So for each of those questions we generated, there is actually a graph. Now all we need to do is understand what this graph actually means. Do you get? So now this is, what type of business do you do? And in my question I asked, oh, market trader, small shop owner, food vendor, fashion or clothing seller, electronics seller, then other, where you can choose whatever business you're doing. So from the responses I got that, okay, we have one small like 33% of the people that responded were small shop owners, food vendors, and market traders. So from this I can tell that, all the was it, all the respondents that I got are all small business owners. So of course they are exactly the kind of participants that we want, right? So from this I can say, okay, we have a quarter of, or like, people from each of these market traders. I think blue is market trader, so market trader, red is small shop owner, and yellow is food vendor, right? So we can see that, okay, market trader, small shop owners, food vendors are people who responded to this, and this is the type of business they do. So we know that, okay, we have the exact type of participants that we are looking for. Now we go to the next question. How often do you need cash for your business? So this was a question I generated for my own users. I am using a different example as to the assignment that I'm giving you. For me, I'm using Swift Serve, and Swift Serve is for market traders and small business owners. But for you, the assignment I gave you is for students and for young professionals. So just bear that in mind. So the question I'm asking now, or I generated, were based off on the Swift Serve, which is the product I am using as an example of what I'm working on. So now from this second question, it says, how often do you need cash for your business? So from the responses, it shows that 66.7% of people need cash every day. Now I'm analyzing my responses. I'm understanding, okay, from these responses, my users, most of them need cash daily, every day. Do you get? That is what I've been able to get um from my response. Do you understand? So I have been able to understand that most people that responded to this, or most small business owners, they need cash every day. So in my own app that I'm building, or in the product I'm building, I will make sure that I also ensure that access to cash is a critical feature. Do you understand? So it's important from what I've generated now. Now let's go again. We go to the next question. What challenges do you face when withdrawing cash or making transfers? Now, if you look at this, from the responses I got, it means that the most most people are always complaining about network problems, right? It's not like people are not complaining about this, or not complaining about this, or not complaining about this, but most of them are what's complaining about network problems. Do you understand? So that is also um like what we have been able to get from these responses. We have been able to analyze that, okay, most of our users actually have this issue. Okay, most of our users need cash for their businesses every day. Most of our users have network problems while using, maybe when they are withdrawing cash or when they are making transfer. We have been able to also note that down. We go again to the next question. How do you currently keep records of your business transaction? So this was a question I generated for people who are market traders and what's it called, small business shop owners. And when I asked this question, I said, how do you currently keep records of your business transaction? I noticed that some people said notebook, right? Some said through their banking app history, and the other said what? Phone notes. So that means this person is keeping records of his business transaction on the notes of his phone. Do you get? So it means that each and every one of these people have different ways in which they record or keep their business transaction. So now I will bear that in mind, that, okay, there are several ways into which our users or our potential users actually record business transactions. Do you understand? So I have to bear that in mind that okay, different users have different ways. So from what I've noticed, at least I know notebook, phone notes, banking app history, these are like the ways in which they record or do their own record keeping. Do you understand? So from here I can know that okay, users have different methods to track their transaction. And then it also means that for me, who is building like the Swift Serve app, I should also make sure that I'm providing a simple and maybe unified transaction history for them. Do you get? And then the last question I asked was what feature would make banking easier for business? So this one was an open answer question. I didn't have multiple choice or anything. I wanted them to freely talk about what exactly is the problem they are facing. And then I can go here and say, okay, I can see that this person says I need a simple dashboard to track my transactions. This other person says I need instant transaction receipts and faster reversals. This other person says I want to be able to find nearby agents who have available cash. So these people have stated their problems. Do you understand? So now we can be able to understand from all this, from the first question, we know these people are the kind of users we are targeting, and those are the people that responded to this Google form that we sent. Now the next question, how often do you need cash? We have also been able to get that people, most of our users need cash every day. So you will note that down again. Next thing is what challenges do you face when withdrawing cash or making transfers? You also realize that most of our users face network problems, right? And also, how do you currently keep records of your business transaction? We have realized that they have different ways, different users have different ways, and all we have to do is make sure there's like a simple and unified transaction history that we can have for our users. Do you get? And now we also know the different problems they are facing. So that is how you can easily analyze research responses. Do you understand? That is how you can easily analyze um, user I mean analyze research responses. That's responses you get from people. Do you get? So that is one of the ways. Do you get? So if we look at this using the Swift Serve as an example, right? um, Using Swift Serve as an example, we realize that okay, um, one of the ways or one of the things we did was look for repeated problems. Realize that network problems, remember network problems being the highest, they appeared twice out of the three people that we sent this Google form to. We also realized that agents run out of cash. We also realized there were people complained about failed transactions, delayed reversals, long queues. You get? So in essence, this is how you can easily analyze a response. Right? Number one, look for a repeated problem. Number two, you group them. Now you have found the repeated problems. Now what you can do is group those problems, put them into different categories. Do you get? So we have been able to get that, oh okay, people um most people have network issues when they are transacting, sorry. Also we have found that okay, there are so many failed transactions, all those things. Those are the repeated problems. Number two is group those repeated problems you have seen. So you have okay, cash access problems, we are grouping them. This is a group now. So we have seen okay, for cash, agents run out of cash and there are maybe long queues before you get or withdraw cash. Then we also group it into transaction problems. This is where network problem comes in, failed transaction comes in, delayed reversal comes in. Do you get? So we have been able to say okay, number one, we have given out a Google form to people to respond, to our users to respond. Now they have responded. You go to Google form, you go to responses, you check through the chat, you analyze it and say okay, what is the repeated problem that these users are complaining about? You note that down. Then you now group those things into different categories. Do you get? That will help you to have a better understanding. So now from what we have, the charts we have gone through, we can say one of the insights is that most users need cash daily. Remember that they need cash daily from that chart we saw. And then so it means that our own app must make sure that cash withdrawals are quick and reliable. So we have been able to get from that thing that we went through, which is the Google form and the responses, we're able to see that most users need cache daily. And it means that in the app I am creating as a designer, I must make sure that um, cache withdrawals are quick and they're also reliable. Do you get? I must factor that in. Another insight we have gotten from this research we have done, or from this analyze analysis, right, that we have done, we also realized that network failures and delayed reversals are major frustrations for users. So you remember that part where, let me go back again. Let me go back to it so you guys can all see it. Okay, so we can see from here, when I asked what feature would make banking easier for your business, somebody said instant transaction receipts and faster reversals. Do you get? Another person says find nearby agents available with cash. And I think here too, somebody also said what challenges do you face when withdrawing cash or making transfer. Somebody also said failed transactions as well. So we have noticed that failed transaction is one of the challenges that our users are faced. I've also realized that they also need faster reversals. So that's also their own challenge, and they would want that to be solved, right? So when we come here, we can now realize that okay, from what we have checked, network failures is a problem. Delayed reversals is also a major frustration for our users. So it means that in our own app that we are designing, a transaction status should be clearly communicated. Let people understand whether it is currently not working, whether it is working, whether the transaction status is it's closed or is, you get, like, exactly where you are, whether it's pending, whether it's successful, whether it's declined. You get? It will help people to also understand, okay, this is what's happening or this is not what's happening. You get? So we can also factor that in. And then other insights we can get from that research that we just did was users want better transaction tracking. So it means that in our app, which is SwiftServe, we should provide digital receipts and maybe a simple transaction history. So users also want to be able to track their transactions well. Do you get? That's what it means. They want to be able to have a better transaction tracking. And so we as designers, we also have to make sure that in our design, when we are designing the product, we should factor in the fact that we want to provide maybe receipts for these people, right? And then we also want them to have a very simple transaction process. Do you understand? So one thing I should also say is, if you're asking yourself what is an insight, an insight is not just a response that you get from people. It is actually the meaning behind multiple responses. You get? So an insight is what you have gotten from majority of those people, not just one person. You get? Majority of your users, what are they complaining about? What is that thing that they are really facing? What is that frustration that they currently have? You get? That is what you as a designer are trying to solve, right? If you are a designer and your product is not solving any problem, it's as good as you are not designing. Because the truth is, UI UX is divided into two. There's the UI part and there's the UX part. So if you are only designing for UI, which is user interface, it means you're only designing for the screen. But if you are designing both UI and UX, it means you are designing user interface and then you're now designing for user experience. The experience is also what matters. Do you get? So UX means user experience, and without the experience, you're not designing a product, because a product must have both the UI and both the UX. Do you understand? So it's important that you factor that in as well. Then one thing we'll also be going to is creating a user persona, and I'll explain what the user persona is. So user persona is a fictional character that is created from real research data. So for example, let's say Blessing and Victor, right? Let me say Blessing sent Victor a Google form, right, to fill, and and Victor fills that Google form, says all his problems and submits the form. The same thing goes for maybe Emmanuel. Emmanuel also does the same thing. He fills the form, he states all his problem, and he submits, right? Now, maybe all of us do it. I too, I do it as well. So we have three people who are doing it. Now, after Blessing has seen those, Victor, Emmanuel, and myself, yeah, she has seen those responses. She has gone through each and every one of them. What she now does is she creates a user persona. So a user persona is like, okay, this person is, so she can create someone, I mean, create someone that is fictional, but using the data she got from Victor, Emmanuel, and me. Do you understand? So she can create a fictional character, but she's using real research data. She's using the responses she got from Victor, from Emmanuel, and myself. Do you understand? So um, a user persona just helps us to answer number one, who is the user, what do they want, what frustrates them, and what do they need from the product. Do you get? So Blessing can now say, okay, let me just, since I've gotten Victor, I've gotten Emmanuel, I've gotten Obi, now let me create a fictional character that represents all this, and I can say, okay, the name of the person will be Emeka, and Emeka is going to be this. Emeka needs this. Emeka's frustrations are this, and this is what Emeka needs from the product. Do you understand? So that's what user persona is. Do you get? So we can see, this is just an example that I created. Her name is Amina, right? I've been able to gather different responses, and I created Amina or Aminat, right? I don't know exactly the best way to pronounce it, but Amina, right? And I just created a fictional character saying, oh, her name is Amina, and she's 35 years old, she's a market trader, and Amina sells food items in a busy local market. She withdraws cash almost every day to buy stock and to pay suppliers. That is what Amina does. Right? She sells food items in a local market, and she withdraws cash almost every day. Right? Now, what is Amina's goal? Right? Amina wants to, so don't forget, I think I also said it here. I said, what do they need? What frustrates them? What do they do? I mean, what do they want, and who is the user? So we have been able to answer who is the user. The user is Amina in this case. And what do they want? These are our goals. What do they want? These are the goals. Do you get? So the things she wants are here. The goals. So Amina wants to be able to withdraw cash quickly. So it could be the Emeka that Blessing created from Victor. Maybe Victor wanted to withdraw cash quickly, so she can write Victor's own here. So it's now be Emeka wants to withdraw cash quickly. Emmanuel avoid. Do you get what I'm saying? So Blessing has brought in Victor, Emmanuel's own, and my own, and she's using it as Amina's fictional character. Do you get what I'm saying? So now Amina's goal is she wants to withdraw cash quickly. She wants to avoid failed transactions. She wants to keep records of her daily payments. Those are the things that um what do they want? That's what she would want, right? That's what she wants. And then what are pains? What are the things that are currently frustrating Amina? Amina wants, or she says that agents sometimes have no cash, so maybe she wants to withdraw, or she wants to take money for her business, and she's realizing that most of these POS agents, they don't really, sometimes they don't have cash, right? So that's like a problem or a frustration. Another thing could be network issues cause failed transactions. So when there are a lot of network issues, it affects our transactions of our own business. Don't forget that Amina is someone that is a market trader. She sells in a local market, so she wants her own business to keep running, and if you have network issues, it's definitely going to affect her. And then she also says, oh, reversals are too long. Maybe she sends money to someone, or she sends money to someone, and maybe there was a need for a reversal or something, but it's taking too long. You get? That's also a pain for her as a market trader. You get? It will affect her own business. And she uses a notebook which is easy to lose. So her own problem is, when I was saying, how do you record transactions? Do you remember that question in the Google form? So Amina's own is maybe she uses a notebook. but then because she uses a notebook, she can easily misplace it. You get? So that's her own frustration, Amina's frustration. And then what does she need? So what does she need comes from here. What do they need from the product? So we have been able to see what user persona is, right? A fictional character, but created from real research data. Emeka created from Victor, Emmanuel, and my research data. Do you understand? Now, and we have said that user persona helps us to understand who is the user, which is Amina. What do they want? These are our goals. What frustrates them? Our pain points. And what do they need from the product? Her needs. So what do they need from this product? So what she needs is she wants this product to be able to help her to know the nearby agents with available cash. Do you get? Another need that Amina has is she wants to have instant transaction confirmation. So if she's sending a transaction or if she makes a transaction, she wants to be able to see that confirmation sharp. Do you get? And she also wants to be able to see digital receipts. So maybe she has made a transaction. She wants to be able to see that receipt instantly. Do you get? As the transaction is being done. And then she also wants like a simple transaction dashboard, right, where she can see all her transactions and go through them. You get? Just something that makes her life easy for her. So we have been able to understand what a user persona is. We have been able to understand how to break it down, right, and why it's also important because it helps you as a designer to now understand your users. It helps you to put that real research data you have gotten into real, like, into real practice, into converting it to make, to form, to know the problems that your users are facing and then the solutions that you can come up with. Do you understand? So it's very important that we understand how to, number one, analyze responses. When you get a response from a user, you need to be able to understand it, and I've taken us through on how to do that, right? Go to your Google form, go to responses, go through the chat. Google form makes it even way easier for you. Trust me, it makes it way easier for you. And I think you can also copy the charts, and stuff like that. But let's say you just want to analyze, you can just come here. You can see the graphical explanation for you already. You can see, oh, this amount of users are needing cash daily. Do you get? Which this blue is every day. So you can say, oh, this amount of users are using this, needing cash daily. From these users I'm designing for, the challenges are the most, or the most the most, I don't even know the exact word to use, but the challenge they're facing the most is network problem, right? And how do you currently keep transactions? You can see that, oh, different users have different ways. Some are using notebooks, some are using their phones, and some are using banking app history. Do you get? So this helps you to already analyze. Then from here you can now draw your insights, which is all those things I've already listed before for you. Do you get? So it's like a step-by-step process, which is very good. And trust me, I'm sure most of us have filled Google Forms before, right? Where somebody from one company is just sending you one Google Form to fill, right? They are using that as a research data. They want to be able to understand their users, to understand the people they are designing for. Do you get? So people use Google Forms for different reasons, and a lot of it is based on research. So you as a designer as well, you can use that tool to be able to research. You get? So it's very important, and it's good that you learn how to do it. Okay, another thing we'll quickly move to is building an empathy map. So I'm going to take you what empathy map is all about. Empathy map is just a map that helps you understand what the user thinks, feels, says, and does. TFSD. TFSD. Think, feels, says, and does. That's what empathy map is just all about, right? And it helps designers to build empathy and design from the user's perspective. So empathy map, when you're designing it, most of the time, I'll even tell you one issue that I feel like most designers do, which is wrong. And the thing is, sometimes a designer is designing based on his own perspective. He's not designing based off on a user's perspective, and that is wrong. Because once you are designing and you are thinking about, oh, how does this screen look? Okay, is it fine? Are the aesthetics, is it giving? If that's what you are focusing on, and they're not focusing on the user's problem or on the user's perspective, then I'm sorry, you're not building a product. Because at the end of the day, you're not the one to use that product, it's the users. So it means that whatever you are getting, whatever information you are getting should be about the user, so that you can know how best to design a product that will fit them. Do you understand? If you do not know about the user's frustration, how are you going to build something for him? Do you get? How are you going to help me as a user if you don't even know my problem? I'm someone that maybe I like using fintech products, and or maybe I have different banks that I'm using, but maybe most of them are giving me different issues. And now you are designing a banking app, or you are designing one app, or so. How do you know that I'm facing a problem? Do you get? You have to ask me. You have to, research, do your research, and now know, this guy is facing this issue, this other person is facing this issue, this is an issue that three of these people are facing. This is really an issue. Do you get? That's what user research helps you to do. So moving on, empathy map, as I said, helps you to know what a user thinks, feels, says, and does. And this is what an empathy map just looks like. You get, what you are thinking, what you are feeling, what you're saying, and what you're doing, right? And for thinking, we can say, oh, Amina is thinking, oh, I need cash quickly, I can't afford transaction delays, it's affecting our business, I want a safer way to keep records. And the way she feels right now is she's feeling frustrated. As a market trader, she wants to be able to do all these things, but she can't do them. So she's frustrated when transactions are failing. She's also worried about losing money. She's a market trader. What she's doing is for profits. And if she's having a lot of issues in, with the app she's using, or with the product she's using, or in the way she's managing her money, she will definitely feel worried, right? And she's also feeling stressed during busy market hours. And then what she says is the network is always bad. She's using products that the network is always bad, always frustrating her. She has been waiting for a reversal, right? She There was a transaction that happened, and she was meant to get a reversal, but she hasn't gotten that. And she also needs proof of payment immediately. She wants to be able to see a proof of payment on that app sharp sharp. She doesn't want to leave and then she will not see it like later on. She wants to be able to see it now, right? And what she's doing, she's always withdrawing cash daily. She uses nearby POS agents. She's writing her own transactions in a notebook. She's calling agents when reversals delay, right? And that's what she's doing. So you can see from this that you can be able to see Amina's pain. You can see what she's going through, what she's doing, what she's saying, and what she's thinking. So that's what empathy map helps us to do. Help us to just know what our users are thinking, what they are feeling, what they are saying, what they are doing. Do you understand? And that's basically it. Do you get? So I hope this class was good, and if you have questions, I think this is the best time to ask. Do you get? um yeah, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand or mute your mic and speak. But today, we were able to talk about number one, how to analyze research responses, right? How to go on your Google form, go to the responses tab, go through the charts, and check each and every one of those information clearly. You'll be able to know what percentage of users are facing this problem, or how many percentage of users are not facing this problem. And we were also able to create the user persona together, right? Amina, her goals, her frustrations, her needs, and we're also able to build an empathy map as well together, where you can see CFSD, which is think, feels, says, and does. You get? So that's what we're able to do in this class, and I hope it was educative and enlightening, and I hope I was able to break it down as easy as possible that you can easily always remember. So yeah, um, over to you guys. I want to hear questions, or if you're not clear about something, you can always feel free to ask so that we can both get clear about it together. So Daniels, are you good? Anjola Uluwa Daniels, are you good? Were you able to get everything from today's class? Okay, I don't think you can hear me. Emmanuel, are you good? Were you able to get everything from today's class? Okay. Blessing, what about you? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, what about you, Adesola? Adesola, right? I hope I pronounced it properly. How was today's class?
Yeah, the class was fine. Yeah, I was able to get some things. Thank you.
Okay. Odubela, what about you?
Good.
Okay. So I'm glad we were able to get one or twos from this class. As I always say, please do not give up. We are in the serious part of actually how to build a product, right? Is important because a lot of designers just rush into designing, and that's why you may build a product that is not functional. But if you take your time to understand the problem that your users are actually facing, then you definitely design something that is worth solving their problems. So do not rush into designing first. First of all, understand the product, understand the problem, do some user research, analyze those research that you have gotten, create a user persona from there. It helps you to understand the user better before you actually start designing. Do you get? So yeah. So I wish us all the best. I think I'll be sending the assignments. The assignment for you will just be to create a user persona, right? Just the name, what the person does, their goals, their needs, and their frustrations, right? So that's just it. So yeah. Blessing. I don't know if you were here when we started. So wait, can you like do all those assignments on Figma, or do you need like to be able to understand how to use the tool first, like typing and all those things? Do you know exactly how to go about it? So if you have to submit an assignment, send. Okay, 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 that's good. Okay, no problem. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so guys, good night. Thank you for joining. Don't forget to subscribe, to like, to share, to comment. Just good stuff. Thank you guys for joining. See you guys in the next one. Happy designing. Yeah. Bye guys.